Good, my friends. This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Marc Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Last chance to get your upset picks in. Hosting for CBS Sports Radio nationally tomorrow from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Thrilled to have you guys with us. Our picks on the biggest games of the week coming your way at 5:40 p.m. this afternoon. Buckle up, my friends, because away we go. 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663. And the CarPro.com text line is there for you at 71307. Cole Bryson joins us in the next segment with a high school football preview. Jacksonville State, South Carolina, Brent Beaird at 4 p.m. Clemson, Notre Dame. We've got Truth Serum, the top 5 at 5. Wise Guys Wisdom, making you some money with Ryan Horvat today as part of BetQL. And we have you here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. All right, let us open today with this. It's something that I'm not really desirous of opening up with, if I'm honest with you, because there's an inconvenient truth that is at play here, an inconvenient truth that is going on. We are not number one. We're not. We think we are, but we're not. Okay? I'd like to think that we live in the best country on earth. I believe that, right? Even when I'm disappointed in things that we do, I'd like to believe that we are the envy of the rest of the world. We're certainly the world's most powerful nation. And I'd like to think it's on some level, we have a level of rationality. We can rationalize, rational thinking better than other countries do as well. But when it comes to athletics, we are no longer the single sole proprietor of the best athletes in the world, right? And it's hard to admit that. It really is. But consider the following. We just had the World Baseball Classic, and we lost. We always play it on American soil, and we lose. We've only won one of those things. Well, give me the excuses. This guy didn't play. That guy didn't play. It's the same way for every country. It's the same way. On a scale of 1 to 10, the baseball team that we sent to the World Baseball Classic was about an 8 or an 8.5, with 10 being our very best players. We sent an 8 or an 8.5, and we lost. And we sent an 8 or an 8.5 every time, and we've lost every single time but one. I saw this today, Diesel, and it absolutely blew me away. Okay? Like, I have on my computer a list of the 50 best players in the NBA today. Okay, and I'm gonna share with you in a minute why I'm doing this. Mark, on a Football Friday, this is awfully weird. Like, what are you doing? I'll get to that point in a minute. All right, Diesel, tell me what country these 4 players are from. Okay, the 4 best players in the NBA today. Giannis Antetokounmpo,
Greece.
Nikola Jokic,
Czech Republic, right?
Serbia. Joel Embiid.
Joel Embiid is Cameroonian.
Luka Doncic.
Luka, I'm gonna guess Czech Republic again.
I think it's like Finland or something.
Oh, okay.
So ESPN, without thinking about this, puts together the list of the 50 best players in America, right? The 50 best players in the NBA, and not a single one of the top 4 is American. Okay? Now, Joel Embiid has chosen to play for Team USA in the next Olympics. Whew. Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen for that one. Because he has Cameroonian citizenship and he has French citizenship. And he could have played for either of those teams. Okay? Luka Doncic does not play for the United States of America. And Giannis Antetokounmpo, when he plays for Greece. And Nikola Jokic, why would he play for America? He's not American. All right? He's not American. And I bring this full circle to you guys watching Victor Wembanyama last night. Okay? He's French. Victor Wembanyama last night at 19 years old went for 38 points, 10 rebounds, and 2 blocks. There is something that is biologically a miracle about him, because it's not that we haven't had 7'3" or 7'4" players before. We have. They're just slow and gangly, and they don't have the hand-eye coordination, because you lose that when you're that height. You lose that.
Well, and you specialize in other things. You don't specialize in ball handling and dribbling skills.
Right.
You catch the ball up high, you keep the ball high, and you shoot or you dunk.
Victor Wembanyama is a 7'4" Kevin Durant. Okay? Like 7'4" Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant was asked after the game what he thought about Victor Wembanyama, and he said, nobody like him. One of one. I know he says he watched me, he watched other great players, etc. Dude's one of one. No, Kevin. He's you. He's just 5 inches taller than you and bigger and stronger than you. He has your game, but thankfully not your frame. Okay? Because Kevin Garnett is a stick, toothpick, right? Victor Wembanyama is 19, is already bigger than Kevin Durant, although still slender, but he's 19 years of age, and he's doing things we've never seen before. And most importantly, we're not producing him. Victor Wembanyama's not from here. I don't see Victor Wembanyama coming from here. And if Victor Wembanyama was born here, he wouldn't be as good as he is. That's the statement that bothers people, right? If he was born here, he wouldn't be as good as he is. Well, folks, we don't teach kids fundamentals anymore, okay? They're part of the and-one circuit, the AAU circuit. They're taking threes. They're dunking the basketball. They're working on their killer crossovers. They're behind the backs. Man, in Europe, they've got all the fundamentals in the world. You can tell that this kid has been working on his game for at least the last 10 years, and he comes to the NBA, and I'm tired of hearing he's not ready. He comes to the NBA as a ready-made star. You know, in this list of the 50 best players in the NBA that ESPN released on October 12th, okay, so now it's November 3rd. They released this on October 12th. In this list, Victor Wembanyama is ranked 47th. So he's the 47th best player in the NBA without ever having played in the NBA. And I'm telling you, they're way off. He's so much better than the 47th player in the NBA. They were tempering expectations. This dude is far closer to a top 10 player in the NBA already than he is number 47. And it is, my friends, something to behold. I want to ask you guys, quite honestly, okay? And I was looking to put together like a 9-man rotation, okay? I want to put together a 9-man rotation of the best international players versus the best American NBA players. And you tell me who wins, okay? Quite honestly, you tell me who wins. All right, here's what I've got on the international side, okay? Here's what I've got. On the international side, okay, and I'm going to leave Joel Embiid out of this because he's got dual citizenship, okay? So I'm talking about American players, international players, okay? Here's what I've got on the international side. I've got Nikola Jokic, Domantas Sabonis, Giannis, Pascal Siakam, Lauri Markkanen, Victor Wembanyama, Kristaps Porzingis, Josh Giddey, and Luka Doncic. On the American side, I have LeBron, Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Steph Curry, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, and Anthony Edwards. Who wins? Who wins? You tell me who wins. I think we get beaten at our own game. And the reason why we're not winning in the Olympics anymore, or we're not winning in the World Cup anymore of basketball, we sometimes win in the Olympics. All of our best players have to play in order for us to play in the Olympics, is because the popularity of the NBA and David Stern making the NBA a global game, which is what the NFL is trying to do. A lot of folks don't want football to expand over to Europe. When you make things a global game, the globe becomes better than you.
You ever watch the World's Strongest Man competition?
Oh, yeah.
All the best athletes are European. Imagine an entire defensive line of those guys. You ain't running the ball on them.
Yeah, Diesel, I will say this. Like, I watched this show on Netflix, The World's Toughest Prisons. You know why? Because I'm gangster. You know, I watched the World's Toughest Prison show. And I'll tell you this, Diesel. You know, you go to like Slovakia, World's Toughest Prisons. These are dudes that like I'm having sweat on my forehead, and I'm separated from them by a screen. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, whoa, man, like, I don't see dudes that look like this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, and they're all there for violent crimes. And man, I'm here to tell you, I don't know what it is. I don't know what's in the water over there, but it's not what we've got here.
Well, you know what they don't have? They don't have Fleece Johnson, the booty warrior.
That's also.
Do you remember him?
Vaguely. Yeah.
Yeah, he was famous on one of those American Locked Up Raw type TV shows.
Okay.
And it would be like, for me, it's all about the booty. But no, like, it also shows when we play an international competition, we don't send our best.
Yeah.
Because our absolute best are too damn selfish to represent their countries in these competitions. You know, like the Dream Team, all the best players in the NBA played on the Dream Team. There wasn't a single one of the top 10 players in the NBA who didn't play on that Dream Team. That's why they straight up murdered everybody in that Olympic season. But now, you know, the best 3, 4, 5 players in the league, what it requires to go out and do the same thing to win, they don't want to play. They're like, no, load management. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to travel. I don't want to be away from my family. They're too damn selfish to go play in these things.
Load management is a load of bull.
Those other countries were tired of getting their asses kicked by the Americans in these international competitions. So they started sending their best. We're not doing that anymore.
Well, yeah, but Diesel, when the Dream Team was first enacted, their best, the other country's best went. They didn't have a best.
Yeah.
But the popularity of the Dream Team made them have a best, much in the same way that the popularity of Tiger Woods gave birth to other kids who ultimately beat Tiger Woods, right?
So if the NFL gets what they want and they expand the league to the point where there's, let's just call it 16 teams in Europe, are we going to have to send the representative of our Super Bowl to the World Bowl to play them?
They should.
Like the winner of the Super Bowl goes to play in this World Bowl?
They should. You know, somebody told me earlier this week that the World Series was named that way because of a sponsor, and we never changed the name. Like, arrogantly, it's the World Series, yet we lose whenever we play the World.
Well, we had the World's Fair, but it was in Chicago.
Yeah. We lose. Guys, the top 4 players in the NBA aren't from here. What does that tell you? I mean, like, at what point do we want to have some pride in what we've got going on, and we wonder why we can't win in soccer? You know, like, we wonder. The best athletes aren't from here. The best players aren't from here. They're now taking our own sports and kicking our ass in them. If that doesn't bother you, you and I are not cut from the same cloth, okay? We're just not cut from the same cloth. I was looking at this, and I was like, man, oh, man, this blows. You know, 3 of the top 5 players in the NBA, not from here. 4 of the top. And it's nothing against those guys. May the best man win. I want the door to be open to them to play in the NBA. The skill level in the NBA, because of them, has never been higher. They're making the game better, right?
Do Olympic players get paid to play in the Olympics? Would LeBron, if LeBron went, was he getting paid?
I think so, but I don't, like, to them, to a guy making $60 million a year, they're getting less than $1 million.
If you're good at something, never do it for free.
There you go. All right, guys, what do you think of this? Agree or disagree with my assessment? We're getting beaten at our own games. The rest of the world is just flat better than we are. Baseball, basketball, if we give them a football division, are they ultimately going to be better at that than us too? Give them 20 years to like get their football coaching going, right? Just like we gave them, the dream team was 1992. And this is the time where we're saying this. So 30 years, right? In 30 years since the dream team, they've gone from like being honored to be on the floor with us to kicking our tails. It's unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. And now we don't even produce guys like Victor Wembanyama anymore. That guy's 101, man. 1 of 1. All right, what do you say we preview the high school football playoff action with our guy, Cole Bryson, and we will do so next. Right, get your questions in via the carpro.com text line, 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go. My name is Marc Ryan, and he's Diesel, and it's Offsides. Marc Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. School football playoff time. Can I get an amen for that? Oh, yeah. Woo! Time to get your questions in for Cole Bryson about the high school playoffs today. Here's my pledge to you. Every question you ask between now and when the interview's over will get asked to Cole. Okay? Let me amend that. Any question you ask, it is about to be 3:22. Any question you send between 3:22 and 3:30 via the carpro.com text line, 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go. Any question you get in right now between 3:22 and 3:30, I will answer to Cole Bryson about the 2023 high school football playoffs. And the host of the Saturday Scramble, Cole Bryson, joins us right now on the show. Cole, we have arrived. Finally, Cole, there are games that actually matter. And it's taken a while. We have all these non-region games. Then we have region games where everybody makes the playoffs. Roughly so. Now you got to win to advance. Do you think these teams can adequately flip the switch from, having this cushion behind them all year long? Well, this game doesn't really matter. Do you think they're able to flip the switch to suddenly life or death, game in and game out?
Well, they better, Mark. If they don't, they'll be at home next week. I think we have good enough coaches in the Upstate who, man, the ones I talk to on a week in and week out basis, they emphasize that. And the region games, I don't want to say they don't matter, because they do matter in terms of where you finish. And obviously everyone would rather have a 1 seed and an easier road to a state title rather than a 4 seed and have to go on the road to play a 1 seed in the first round, kind of like we're seeing tonight with Dorman and Bowling Springs, a 3 seed, having to go play Dutch Fork, and Spartanburg last night, a 4 seed, having to play Rock Hill. So obviously, we have the coaches in the Upstate that I think will be able to get their guys in the right mindset. And these players understand week in and week out what's at stake. They all want to have that 1 seed. But right now, everybody is 0-0. And as you said, you win tonight, you advance. If you don't, you'll be thinking about, next season. And there's going to be a lot of teams that are in that boat tonight, Mark. There's a lot of good games, but at the same time, we're going to have a lot of teams in the Upstate whose season comes to an end tonight.
Cole, I'm going to make you think about recruiting here from an additional standpoint from what we typically ask you recruiting. What's interesting about the interview that we had yesterday, Matthias Scott, running back at Chapman, was our high school athlete of the week. Last week, he took on the previous week's athlete of the week, Jalen McGill, running back at Broome. Now, do you foresee any of these players playing head-to-head, any of the great players in the Upstate playing head-to-head against each other for years, being recruited into the same conferences going forward?
I think there's a possibility. I mean, I think about guys, Diesel, like Dre Williams from Greer, who's playing running back right now at North Greenville, and quarterbacks like Dylan Ramirez from Broome. You mentioned Broome just a second ago. He's the quarterback. So Division II schools that are in our area, if the D1 schools aren't picking these guys up, the D2 schools should be licking their chops. And, schools like North Greenville have done that with a Dylan Ramirez from Broome at quarterback and Dre Williams from Greer running back. Dre Williams went D1 and then transferred back into D2, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I could see it, Diesel. There's a lot of talent in the area. Unfortunately, on the D1 level, they don't always get picked up like we hope they would. You're right. There's some players of the weeks that you guys have had on this year that are incredible football players, incredible people, and are probably talented enough to play Division I football somewhere. A lot goes into it, man. Are their coaches at their schools, at their high schools, they're focused on winning. There's no doubt about that. But are they putting enough emphasis on getting these kids in the spotlight of college coaches? It's not always on the kids. The coaches have to do their part as well in making sure that there's college coaches who are seeing these kids and putting their players in the spotlight to be recognized. And we have a lot of coaches that are very good at that. I'm not saying we don't, but it falls on both, Diesel, in my opinion, the player and the coach as well.
Cole, I heard the ESPN sounder come in on your phone. I just want to confirm that it means that Wembanyama has scored again.
You know what? It was. I apologize.
It's all good, man.
It was something about eligibility in NCAA. Imagine that, right? But, man, Mark, what a fun talent he is to watch. Right. I'm a huge NBA fan, not to get sidetracked here, but, yeah, I believe he did. I believe you're right. I believe he did score again. One of
one. Cole, your predictions last week were 22-3. That's phenomenal. That is 88%, Cole. Your regular season record is 221-57. How do you feel about your performance all told?
Well, now that you say that, Mark, I'll go, 500 tonight and swing and miss, I'm sure, on the 33 games I picked. You try to have a good read on these games by following the teams. I mean, if you put in the effort and cover high school football, and a lot of people around the area do, it's not hard to figure out who's going to win when you see the teams on Friday nights and the coaching staffs and the talent they have. It's not the hardest thing in the world, so I don't want to make it sound like it is, but you just have to follow it and invest in it. And like last night, Spartanburg traveling up to Rock Hill and on a Thursday night game, Alex Guest and I there, obviously covering that game for the show tomorrow morning. You have to be involved. And, we are, and we love our listeners. And I tell you what, Mark, hopefully tonight, 33 games I'm picking tonight. We'll see. I've still yet to go 33-0, or I've yet to go undefeated, rather, and all the years I've been covering high school football. So when that happens, Mark, then I'll think I've done something. But until then, I have to, stay pretty humble about it.
Cole, what happens tonight directly affects whether or not I have to work late next Friday night. We have a convergence of games happening all at the same time next Friday night. There would be Burns High School football, Furman basketball, and Furman football. If Burns wins tonight, I'm working next Friday. If Burns loses tonight, I'm off.
What do you think
will
he's
I
hoping for?
will I be working next Friday night?
Man, that's brutal. Diesel, I hope you are working for Burns' sake, and I'm sure Reggie Shaw and Rob Brown and those guys, I'm sure they hope you're working as well. I will say this in all seriousness. Dorman's quarterback, Bryce O'Neal, Dorman's down this year. We've talked about it. If we've said it once, we've said it 100 times. When I saw Dorman's quarterback, I've seen him twice this year, but the one time I saw him against Gaffney, he showed a lot of grit and a lot of resilience. He took a lot of hits. And Dorman, you know, they're the underdog tonight. There's no doubt about it. Jake Morris and those guys, that coaching staff, they've had a rough first year. And they're going up against a really good Burns team. But they played Burns well in the regular season during region play. I like Burns tonight, but it would not surprise me at all. It is Dorman Burns. And when those two teams play, anything can happen. And you know, where is Dorman? My mind goes to Diesel. Where is Dorman mentally? Have they checked out already on the season? Because they've only won a few games. Obviously, they won one region game, not the year they wanted to have. But if they're still checked in mentally and they still come out tonight with a little fight, could Burns have a letdown game after a big win last week at Gaffney? Very possible. I mean, what you have to remember is these are 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, right? And anything can happen on a Friday nights. But, Diesel, to answer your question, I do believe you'll be working on Friday. I hate to inform you.
That's we'll have delivery. We'll set up delivery for Diesel on that Friday night. Yeah, Cole, we had a texter that asked that question. How likely are we to see Dorman upset Burns? Cole, listen, you are the encyclopedia when it comes to high school football in the Upstate. All right, so I'm going to guess the line to that game, and you tell me how close I am to what you think it would be set by Las Vegas. Burns minus 11.
Burns minus 11. You know, that's not terrible, Mark. I picked a 17-point Burns win. Okay. Which I will say this. A 17-point Burns win, when I picked it, it may be a little much. Dorman Burns is still Dorman Burns, even though Dorman's down. I think there's still going to be a game. I expect Burns to pull away a little bit later. But you know what? If it was 11, I do think you'd have some people play both sides, Mark, if that's your goal, obviously. Because at the end of the day, people in Spartanburg who know this rivalry, they know that this game 9 times out of 10 will be a close one. And last time in the regular season, it was close. It was under 11, I believe. So, it could very well be right at 11. Let's see if you're as good as Vegas. If they somehow tonight finish around 11, I'll be very impressed, Mark.
Cole, is there a team that you see that will probably be eliminated here in the first round tonight that next year stands to be really strong? Like they're just 1 year away from being pretty good.
Well, I think everybody would probably think Lincoln Husky at Bowling Springs. He's a junior quarterback. And last year as a sophomore, he kind of got baptized by fire, if you will, and just thrown right into it. And he had a deer in the headlights look a lot last year as a sophomore. This year he comes out. They're really good this year. Bowling Springs says they've had some tough region losses. They had a tough loss against one of the best teams in the state, Tijuana, back during non-region play. They almost beat them. Obviously, they're going to lose guys to graduation. They'll lose guys like JoJo Barrett, who are going to be a tough loss to that team when he leaves for graduation. But I would probably first think of Bowling Springs because Lincoln Huskies this year showed me that he's one of the best quarterbacks in the region this year, if not the best quarterback in the region. So next year, with guys like Riley Staten at Gaffney leaving, and Spartanburg, T.J. Johnson going to be gone. I think Lincoln Husky and the Bulldogs next year with a senior quarterback may be in a really good spot. To answer your question, Diesel, tonight, I picked them to get eliminated. They play at Dutch Fork. Dutch Fork's got their quarterback back. They're getting healthy. So I'd probably have to go with the Bulldogs.
Cole, this question comes in on the text line. Does Palmetto have any shot against Clinton?
I don't think so. Clinton's offense, we talk about T.L. Hanna a lot, Mark. Clinton's offense is another one where it's kind of hard to prepare for, especially in the postseason. Palmetto has some athletes, and listen, their head coach, I was actually just a couple of weeks ago talking with him off the air. He's a listener of the program, and we were talking off the air. Palmetto's got athletes. Palmetto has a similar issue to some of the Greenville schools where there's a lot of their players that have left for nearby schools. But no, I think Clinton wins tonight. Clinton's just they're not the same Clinton we're used to seeing of the last few years, but they are the more talented team, and I believe their run-heavy style offense, if you will, I think it'll be trouble for Palmetto tonight.
Cole Bryson joining us here on the show. Cole, could we do this? Could we have you back for a second segment? There's just too much meat on the bone here to cut it short right here. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
All right, Cole Bryson continues with us with some picks and predictions. I will give you the commercial break to continue to get more questions in for Cole, and your questions will be asked. When Offsides, Marc Ryan and Diesel and Cole Bryson continues right after this. We, my friends, are the Fan Upstate.
From the lower state, Summerville looks to be the favorite. In the upper state, after what they did last week, Burns kind of sits at the top of the mountain right now, right? After beating Gaffney, they're kind of saying that they've solidified that, hey, as of right now, we're the team to beat in the upstate. And in 5A, there's a lot of good teams, right? Spartanburg won last night. By the way, I misspoke earlier. Their quarterback, T.J. Johnson's just a junior, but Spartanburg won last night. Gaffney's going to be there. T.L. Hanna is extremely good this year. Dutch Sports in the upper state. So there's a lot of competition, but right now Burns is the team that stands out on top of everyone.
Cole, we got a question coming in from Gaffney, but it doesn't make sense. So to the person who just texted in about Gaffney, please correct the autocorrect. Autocorrect led you astray there, and the question no longer makes sense. Chesney versus Batesburg. Batesburg-Leesville? Who wins?
Yeah, Mark, that's a tough one. I'll be honest with you. Chesney didn't get a good draw in that game. And tonight, I hate to say this, but I like Batesburg-Leesville by a touchdown over Chesney. Batesburg-Leesville is a really good football team. Chesney, take nothing away from those guys. They've had a good year, and Clay Lewis has done a good job with that program. But Batesburg-Leesville, man, they're going to be tough. And 2A, we talked about 3A being tough. 2A is pretty tough as well. It's no slouch division. Chesney finished the season 5-5. They're at Batesburg-Leesville tonight. They had a huge win last week over Saluda. Did the Panthers of Batesburg-Leesville. I like those guys tonight hosting Chesney. It should be a close game. I don't think Batesburg-Leesville I don't think they blow them out, but I do think that the Panthers win tonight over at their home field.
How many state champions, according to your predictions, will come from the Upstate?
Well, my predictions all season long, Mark, have been pretty consistent. I would say that Summerville's good, right? There's no doubt in 5A. We'll start there. I think Summerville's good. They're well respected. But I do think that a team from Region 2 5A, the region that consists of Burns, Dorman, Gaffney, Bowling Springs, and Spartanburg, I think that team is so battle-tested that I do think you have a champion that comes this year from that region, whether it's Burns or Gaffney. I think that whoever comes out on top of in the Upper State Championship, it could be Burns Gaffney again for Upper State. I like a team like that to come out as champions in 5A, 4A. Northwestern, to me, Mark, there's nobody, again, I could be dead wrong, but in my opinion, there's nobody that's going to beat Northwestern. Northwestern is on a different level this year. There's nobody in 4A that's really remotely close. And until somebody proves me wrong, I'm going to keep rolling with the Trojans. Same thing in 3A, Mark. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Daniel's been the man for a while now. Until somebody knocks him off, I'm not going to pick against him. Daniel's going to be tough in 3A, so I do think you have a state champion potentially sitting here in Daniel. Abbeville in 2A, kind of the same thing. I was talking to a referee official last night who asked me the same question that you've asked me several times about these teams that are always kind of blue bloods, if you will. And we'll see how far Christchurch and Greenville, how far they make it in 1A. They're the region champs. So there's a good chance, Mark, to answer that question. We could have several upstate teams crowned as champions this year.
There you go. Cole, we've got 5 minutes left in the segment. I want to let you get to some of your predictions, and I'll let you take points. Anything of note, anything interesting that you want to share, go right ahead.
Absolutely, Mark. The 1A classifications games tonight consist of Christchurch, Ridge Spring, Monetta. I like the Cavaliers to win tonight. Calhoun County, Whitmire. I like Calhoun County. There are interesting notes, back to your point, there are some teams in 1A that you probably could not point out on a map if you had to. For example, Southside Christian plays Denmark Olaire tonight. Do you know where Denmark Olaire is, Mark?
Yeah, it's overseas. They make really good pastries.
Right. So, again, here's another one. St. Joe's tonight out of Greenville. They host Hunter, Kennard, Tyler. That is one school, not three guys. So there's a lot of 1A schools that are really interesting. No idea where they're at. I like St. Joseph's to actually get beat tonight. I'm taking Hunter, Kennard, Tyler. I did a little research on them. They're a pretty good team. We'll see if I'm wrong there. 2A, Columbia at Abbeville. I like Abbeville pretty handily there. I like Fairfield Central over Liberty. Landrum Cardinals, first-year coach in Brent Bridges. Unfortunately, I think their season comes to an end tonight. They go too strong. Thurman, that's a long road trip and a tough place to play. 96, they had a spectacular season. I like them over Keenan tonight, 28-14. As I mentioned, I like Batesburg-Leesville, 28-21 over Chesney. And then in 3A, Mark, Blue Ridge Daniel. I like Daniel over Blue Ridge, 63-0. I think this game could get really ugly. It might not be as bad if Blue Ridge, or if Daniel rather, pulls their starters, but that could be a name your score game there. Wren versus Woodruff. I picked Wren 21, Woodruff 7. That one could get close, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Woodruff pull the upset there, if you will. I like Chapman 35-14 over Crescent. Chester, Powdersville tonight. That's another good game in 3A. I like Chester 28-21. Belton Honeypath, I don't think they'll struggle with Emerald. I don't think Pendleton struggles with TR. Same thing with Clinton Palmetto. We touched on that one already as well. Broome, Seneca, not close. Broome wins big tonight. In 4A, Indian Land Greer, as I mentioned earlier, I like Indian Land to pull it off tonight. I had Indian Land 29-28 over Greer. Greenville will take care of South Aiken, in my opinion. York at Riverside. Can Matthew Rochester and those guys from Riverside get a win? I like York tonight, unfortunately, 27-21. Westside Airport, I'll take Westside 31-21. And easily, I think their season comes to an end tonight against Midland Valley. And lastly, in 5A, T.L. Hannah Fort Mill, I like the Yellow Jackets big over Fort Mill. Dutch Fork Bowling Springs, give me the Silver Fox of Dutch Fork 28-21. Woodmont Clover 28-19. I'll take Clover in that one. Lexington at Gaffney. Lexington's first-year coach in Dustin Curtis, who was previously at Dorman for a year. He's back at Lexington, so we'll see them tonight over at Gaffney, 27-17. I like Gaffney tonight. Spartanburg won last night, 31-7 over Rock Hill. I did pick Spartanburg. J.O. Man, I like those guys over Blythewood tonight. Dorman Burns, I'll take Burns 31, Dorman 14. And lastly, Hillcrest Nation Ford, I like the Rams 28-21. 33 games tonight. Obviously, that list will get much smaller as the week goes on, Mark.
And in 30 seconds, Cole, Dutch Fork, them coming back to earth this year, is that a blip or a trend?
Mark, that's a great question. 30 seconds, I'll say it's a blip. They still have a great coach in Tom Notch. They're still going to have a ton of athletes. I think Dutch Fork rebounds very well, and I think they're back to the top of 5A very soon.
His name is Cole Bryson. He hosts the best high school football show I've ever heard, Diesel's ever heard, you've ever heard. The Saturday Scramble. You can hear it tomorrow morning right here on the Fan Upstate, 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Cole, we're going to be enjoying the high school playoffs along with you, my friend. Thanks so much for all you do.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you as well.
All right. Take care. All the best. Unbelievable high school football preview thanks to Cole. And we've got Heisman Trophy voter Brent Beaird joining us next right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. Offsides, Marc Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate. What's good, everybody? This is the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. It's Offsides. Marc Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate, rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. Thrilled to have you guys with us in advance of another glorious college football weekend with so many intriguing games and some that could be sneaky good just below the radar. Okay, we're talking, Notre Dame Clemson is a somewhat big deal, right? It's crazy that we're only using the word somewhat, but you don't need me to tell you what's happened to Clemson this year. Kansas State against Texas is a sneaky good game. Have you seen the spread of that? Texas is only a 3.5-point favorite at home. Kansas State was my preseason pick to win the Big 12 this year. Missouri at Georgia, could that be a sneaky good game? Oklahoma at Oklahoma State, same deal, right? Sneaky good games. Washington at USC, the headliner LSU at Alabama. Might Colorado be upset-minded hosting Oregon State? Joining us right now to cover this and so much more, he is our favorite Heisman Trophy voter because he's our only Heisman Trophy voter, and he joins us right now on the show. Brent Beaird is with us. Brent, always do appreciate the time, your calls, and thank you for making it. Brent, is Jimbo Fisher the most likely SEC coach? Would you say Sam Pittman, Jimbo Fisher, most likely SEC coach to lose their job after the season?
I would say probably in between those two, it would probably be Pittman, and here's why. Jimbo, and I've heard this from a Aggie beat writer, who said, now just ponder this a minute. They play Texas next year, and their thought process is if they keep Jimbo another year, that means, and they do have talent on that team, and there's no denying that. But the thought process is if they keep Jimbo, most of that talent that's eligible to come back will come back, and that will give them a better chance of beating Texas. Now, that is, if they end up losing out, and I think they'll certainly lose tomorrow. What does that mean? Will the money guys just say, well, we can't do it, or we can't keep him any longer? But I mean, again, you've got Ole Miss, Mississippi State. That's a win. Abilene Christian, that's a win. And then they've got LSU to end the year, and you never quite know where that's going to go. So I will say that it may be Pittman on the basis of the logic from the beat writer. Does that make sense?
Brent, the CFP committee and the NCAA are going to ping pong responsibility on handling the Michigan scandal back and forth. Will a dozen other Big Ten coaches pleading for the conference to do something be enough to move the commissioner to action?
No, don't. I just don't see it. Really don't. I mean, he may certainly consider it hard, but I mean, you've got the new guy, and usually new guys don't make decisions like that have that many ramifications this quickly. But I mean, you've got to also. I mean, Michigan hadn't got a notice of inquiry yet from the NCAA. So the college football committee certainly punted this already, and the NCAA will go through their standard procedure. And guys, as you know, even with this stuff streamlined now, it's still a year and a half before you get something settled. So no, I don't think that's going to happen. And Diesel and Mark, and again, I'm just being honest. If this was a team in the middle of the pack for the Big Ten or the bottom of the league, you might see something happen. But Michigan may be the best team in that league, maybe the best team in the nation. They're seeing money for what that would be for the college football playoff. I would be very surprised if he goes anywhere in a short period of time.
Brent, one of the excuses from Michigan fans is you have nothing on us. This is all conjecture. You have nothing. Show your proof. What do you have? If somebody said, Brent, what's the evidence? What would you say? Do we actually have evidence at this point?
Well, look, that's an honest question. Is what do they have now? The NCAA was at Michigan this week, and they took away some computers. We don't know all that they took away, so they would be looking at that. So at this point, I guess in fairness, Mark, we really don't know. I mean, there's certainly a lot of accusations. I mean, it seems like we get more on this almost every day, but until they can get in and really take a look at what they've got, we're not going to have anything immediately.
Brent, I'm looking at your notes here, and I'm seeing a chart that looks like a bunch of Greek letters to me. Explain to me your Power 5 unbeaten comparison charts. And what does it say to you?
Well, and that's a good question. I mean, the chart basically to me is more of strength of schedule than it is of anything else. And obviously there were questions as to why Georgia was the number one. Well, Georgia's not number one because their strength of schedule is number 100. And I mean, obviously that's going to get better over the next few days. And my goodness, strength of schedule for Michigan to win 11, but yet Michigan third. So I think that's more what it is than anything else. You've got some remaining strength of schedule. Michigan's one with that. Georgia's 6, and Georgia's schedule will actually finally get better, which everybody is glad of. Florida State at 51. But if the Noes keep winning, and they've got a big game next week with Miami, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape too. They also have this. The committee also uses this game control stuff, which people either kind of snicker at or they say, "Oh, okay, I get that." But right now, Georgia and Florida State lead the pack game control with 9 and 8 games on their schedule. Now, I believe what that basically means is, I mean, you guys understand that, I think, at least we do to a degree. Well, were you in control of the game? We watched the game. Were you basically in control of how many games this year? So So I would say the two things you take from that would be the game control and the strength of schedule.
LSU at Alabama. LSU's got some significant injury concern, but of the four main units in the game, Brent, they've got the single best unit, their offense, right? So can the second and third best units, Alabama's offense, Alabama's defense, overcome that, especially when you consider LSU's injury? The spread on this game, -3, essentially tells us it's a pick-em on a neutral field.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, yes. Well, actually, the second best unit is Alabama defense.
Sure.
The third best unit is Alabama
offense. Correct.
Because and I saw this when I was at the Tennessee game, covering it was it's the same thing tomorrow night, guys. Is when you're dealing with Jalen Milroe, you really don't know what you're going to get. You don't know if you're going to get the first half of the Tennessee game where there were people in the press box in the stands actually calling for him to be benched and putting another quarterback in, or are you going to get the second half where for basically 30 minutes you can make an argument that he looked as good as any quarterback in the conference. So with that going on, what does Nick Saban do to combat the best offense basically in the nation? Is they try to run the ball. They try to make sure that Miro has 0 turnovers and a clear field, or at least wide open receivers. One thing they can do, I think, that they didn't do last year, Pete Golding, the D coordinator who's now at Ole Miss, is I think they can get more pressure on Jaden Daniels than they did last year, which would make a huge difference.
Brent, is there a team sitting right now in the top 25 that you think has peaked? Where they sit right now is about as high as they're going to go.
That's a good question. Maybe I would probably say in top 25. Yeah, I think you can make the argument for Penn State. I'm not. They're 11. I think that's about probably where they will be. Tennessee 17. They've still got to play Georgia. So I think they probably will be about where that's going to be too. Southern Cal's 20, and they may end up going down. It may end up being out the top 25. And they've got to address their defense if they're willing to do that in the off season. I tell you what's fun is to watch Air Force at 25 at 8-0, Tulane's at 7-1. So those teams are fun to see, but just looking over it, I would go with those teams for now.
Brent, Georgia's next 3 games: Missouri, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. Who among those 3 is most likely to give Georgia a scare, or at the very least challenge them?
Ole Miss.
Wow.
Next week. Yes. Ole Miss is balanced enough on offense in order to do that. It was last year. If the Missouri game was in Columbia, I think a lot of people would really take that more seriously and thinking that they could win that game. Here's the problem with tomorrow, and this is just without even putting X's and O's. This is the biggest game for Missouri in 10 years, and that's when they basically came into the league and did real well. Went to the SEC championship game, but they've really had not much close to that. Okay, so first game in 10 years that they've had this much pressure, this much stress, and this much at stake. Georgia has games like this about 3 or 4 times a year, and I think that means something. Frankly, and I really like Missouri. Love what Drinkmuth has done with them. that offense is really good under Kirby Moore, Brady Cook, Schrader. I mean, the Burden kid is just absolutely unbelievable. But I think Ole Miss has more weapons, and it will be very interesting to see the aforementioned Pete Golding and his defense to see what they could do against Georgia. Now there'll be a lot of people say it's going to be Tennessee because the game's going to be in Knoxville, and that will be a wild crowd. I get all that. But guys, I saw Joe Milton in Tuscaloosa. Joe Milton's not going to beat Georgia. That's not happening.
Brent, we are privy to one of the more awkward and uncomfortable situations unfolding right now in college football here at Clemson, where, in my opinion, Clemson is losing because they have a head coach who is stubborn and won't get with the times in a number of areas. There's many great traits about Dabo Swinney. You have a Notre Dame team coming to town, and folks have been shocked at this line all week. It's only Notre Dame -3.
Yeah.
Do you think Clemson is competitive in this game?
At least for a while. I mean, I think Notre Dame will. They've got the better quarterback and Hartman. But they will begin to take the game over, I think, at some point, probably at least in the third quarter, if not before. It's just hard to imagine Clemson at this point where they are. But look, they're just struggling, but they're having a rough year. And again, you and I've talked, and Diesel for the last several months, that he's got to seriously look at going into the transfer portal and getting some help. And again, we've said he doesn't have to go get 20 guys. He just needs to go get 5. But guys who can really help him, and it would make a huge difference. So, but no, I get the angst from Clemson fans with this, and then thinking that it would be better. I mean, I know y'all discussed this Tyler from Spartanburg thing all week long, and I'm sure you're tired of it by now.
Sure.
But I will say this: one thing you're seeing, and I'll go a little bit beyond the normal conversation here. You're seeing more coaches. Ryan Day did this after a game. Even Dave Doran did this after a game. Some of these guys are really taking pot shots at someone in the media or now, of course, Lane Kiffin, this week, and they've got Jimbo and A&M, and he just loves to ridicule Jimbo and what Lane said about, well, they've got all this great talent, and you think they would be a better team than what they are. So, Mark and Diesel, that pregame handshake and postgame handshake between Lane and Jimbo, how quick will that be?
Last one for you, Brent. South Carolina against Jacksonville State for the battle for the Real Gamecocks, okay? And Florida, Arkansas. Does the SEC or do Florida and South Carolina both get wins this weekend?
I think, but I'm just telling you, Jacksonville State's better than people think it is. Rich Rod has done a really good job there. Look, Jacksonville State does not have SEC athletes. I know they're 7-2. They've got a quarterback duo, Zion Webb and Logan Smothers. But I do think South Carolina will win simply because of their roster has SEC athletes. But I give Rich Rod a lot of credit. I mean, they played 4 or 5 games on Wednesday night to give their program a lot of publicity. And I do I think Florida wins, but my Lord, it is just a must win. As someone told me this week, they said it's not so much that it's a must win for Florida, but it's a can't lose game. So does that language make any difference?
Oh man, it does. No, it does. Like if you lose this game, you're probably not bowling. If you win this game, you could paint a picture for how you could win one more. Let's get one more upset on here. Brent Beaird, Heisman Trophy voter. So good catching up with you, pal. Thanks for all you do.
Always, guys. Thanks, Diesel. Thanks, Mark.
All right, take care. Brent Beaird, First Coast News Heisman Trophy voter at Brent, Brent Beaird is where you get to him. And we will talk Clemson, Notre Dame coming your way next right here on The Fan Upstate. It's Offsides, Marc Ryan and Diesel, and we are The Fan Upstate. Man, I will tell you what, Clemson got some good news today. Logan Brooking, a 4-star tight end, has committed to Clemson University. I always value the schools that he chose your school over, right? And Logan Brooking selected Clemson over Michigan, Miami, Penn State, and Stanford. Some good schools. Stanford, not so much. Penn State is okay. But Michigan, Miami, I mean, a lot of good schools wanted him. And Clemson landed him. He's a class of 2025 tight end. And you know, Dabo always asks of these guys, don't commit unless you're ready to be done. Okay, we do things differently at Clemson. He is from Savannah, Georgia, 6'4", 235, great get for the Clemson Tigers. I will reach out to Logan next week and see if he would like to join us on the show, learn a little bit more about him and what he's about. So, guys, on the Notre Dame game, okay, give me a word or phrase via the text line, 71307, and start your text with the word fan, and away you go. Give me a word or phrase to describe Clemson's chances tomorrow against Notre Dame. Noon kickoff, right? Early kickoff in the day, sleepy kickoff. It is going to be on ABC because Notre Dame is playing in it. And there's not a lot of folks that feel like Clemson has a significant chance in this game. The surprising thing is, this is the kind of upset that I like to pick. I like to pick teams who are narrow home underdogs, right? Because what happens a lot of times is the energy of the home crowd pushes them over the top. So I look for single-digit home underdogs when I'm doing our upset picks. All the numbers say that Clemson has a shot in this one. Notre Dame is 65.2% chance to win. Clemson, 34.8% chance to win. Notre Dame just a 3-point favorite in this one, which is really saying something, right? I mean, it's the Death Valley. What they're saying is you guys and the atmosphere you've created at Death Valley is still something to behold, right? Unfortunately, I think Notre Dame is going to do the telling in this game. I really do. And, you know, we're in an atmosphere, folks, in this media environment where you got a bunch of media members who want to be right. You know, they just want to be right. Media members all over the country want to be right. I want to be wrong. My score in this game is Notre Dame 31, Clemson 13. Clemson in no way is ready for Clemson is in no way ready for the efficiency and the line play that Notre Dame is going to bring to Death Valley. No way, shape, or form. All right. And I believe it's not going to be close. And I hope this message inspires the Tigers. And I hope that they prove me wrong. You know, I hope that they see it. I hope they prove me wrong. The message has been seen by 5,700 people. I'm sure some of them were on the Clemson football team. I want you guys to be featuring me on Freezing Cold Takes. I want that message of me being wrong to be blasted out for everybody to see. Look at this idiot media member. He's wrong again. I want that to happen. All right. I invite you to, I'm not saying I want to be right. I want to be wrong. I don't think it's close. I don't think it's close. If you asked me, Marc Ryan, if you were a Clemson fan, what is your word or phrase to describe Clemson's chances tomorrow? I would say eek. E-E-K. Eek. Not really feeling it. You've got a well-coached team, a physical team with a senior quarterback, one of the best in the nation, against a team that doesn't have an identity, that doesn't know who it is, right? And a team that can't get out of its own way. Again, guys, I'll tell you this. I'll be betting on Notre Dame. My two favorite bets this weekend are Notre Dame -3, and Ole Miss -2.5 over Texas A&M. Ole Miss is hosting Texas A&M. My two favorite bets of the weekend. The more I study this game, and when you study a game as I do during the week, guys, you study it from the standpoint of you want to find a way for Clemson to win. I want to be able to give you guys tidbits of good information. I want to be able to give you hope. The only thing I've been thinking all week is how in the hell is this spread 3 points? In a lot of times, what we've seen, Las Vegas doesn't know something we don't know, right? A lot of times they've been wrong. I don't see it. I don't see it. Where do you guys come out on this? 71307 on the carpro.com text line. That's where you can get to us.
You're losing a lot of faith there in Clemson's defense, thinking they're going to give up 31. I'm not sure that's going to happen. I don't predict that Clemson wins this game. And oh boy, the firestorm that's going to be next week when Clemson is sub 500. That's a great question. When was the last time Clemson was sub 500 at the midway point of a season? It's probably been a very, very long time. So Clemson's not going to win this game, but I think it looks more something like 24 to 10. You give up 3 touchdowns and a field goal. You get a touchdown and a field goal yourself. I mean, Cade Klubnik's going to have to show us something that he hasn't shown us all season long. The ability to look elite against good teams. We haven't seen that from him. And man, oh man, the fan base is going to be, we think they're fired up now at 4-4. Imagine them at 4-5.
They say, guys, it's always darkest before the dawn. And sometimes I've been a strong advocate of bottoming out in life, right? Like sometimes you really got to bottom out. You got to press reset in order to climb back.
Look,
consider this the bottom out point.
How long did we see the majority of the South Carolina fan base still on the pro Shane Beamer bandwagon until things started to slip and get to the point where they're now 2-6?
Yep.
Now there's a lot more voices coming out and saying, oh man, I don't know that Shane Beamer is the guy, which would have been unheard of for them to say just 6 or 7 weeks ago. And I think we're at that point where maybe not this year, but next year, if next year Clemson finds themselves in a 2-2, 3-3, 5, 6, 7 weeks into the season, that's when we see people starting to finally turn and say the thing out loud about Dabo that very few are willing to say right now. Right now, it's still, oh no, we can't even think about Dabo being on the hot seat. Oh no, we can't imagine Clemson without Dabo Swinney. But give it next year. Give it next year. If the same thing happens again, a lot of those voices will change their tune.
I'll tell you this, Diesel. You are saying wait for fire and brimstone, and let's all be huddled around our radio sets to listen to Dabo's call-in show next Monday should they lose. I can't wait to hear Beamer's if they lose to Jacksonville State.
Oh yeah.
I like Brent Beaird said, this is a much better team than people think. Kelly Ford told me that Jacksonville State leads the country in wins over expectation, right? So they're the team that is, the only words that came into my mind right now don't even make sense, Diesel. More better. You can't say that, right? So they are the team that has, by the greatest margin, exceeded what was expected of them, right, this year. So here's the question I'll ask you guys, all right? Which game's going to be closer? Which game's going to be closer? Clemson, Notre Dame, or Jacksonville State, South Carolina? I want you to take a stand here, okay? I want you to take a stand. Diesel and I are both smirking because we know enough to know that Clemson fans are going to take this as an insult, and it's not really meant as such. I think South Carolina's favored by 16 points now over Jacksonville State, and Clemson is just a 3-point underdog, but that's not the feeling we have, right?
What is he saying? Does he offer us insult?
What game is going to be closer, guys? Jacksonville State, South Carolina, Clemson, Notre Dame. Which game is going to produce a closer outcome? Let's see what you guys are saying on the carpro.com text line. E. Thoughty says, sorry for the late entry, but I'm taking my favorite team, LSU, over Alabama -3. Nice pick, E. Thoughty. Hurricane Jeff says, I like the Cowboys of Oklahoma State over the Sooners of Oklahoma. The point spread is 6. Who does Brent like in the NC State-Miami game? Yeah, it's not the kind of question I would ask Brent, but I am taking NC State for what it's worth. Texter. Logan Simpson says, give me Oklahoma State over Oklahoma for 6 points. Let's see here. Johnny Carrot says, snap the ball, send them all. Love it, Johnny. Texter says, don't do it, Mark. If you pick them in the upset pick, we definitely won't win. I love all this confidence that you guys show in my brilliant upset pick ability. Brilliant upset pick ability. Will G is going Colorado over Oregon State. That was my second choice. I feel great about my upset pick. You know why? Because none of you other dudes picked NC State over Miami. And it's always the ones that nobody picks that wins. Kevin Bugg says BYU over West Virginia for 13.5 points. Justin L. going with Diesel's pick. Georgia State +6 over James Madison. Texter says, Mark, I think Clemson is fired up after what happened Monday. You think Tyler and Spartanburg fired up Clemson? And I think they win. Stayed away from that pick because they're my team and I need more points. Let's see here. Texter says, JT and Greer. Listen, this is abuse that I'm taking here on the text line, guys. JT and Greer says, with Mark picking Notre Dame, Clemson is sure to win. What are you trying to say? Let's see here. Notre Dame 20, Clemson 9. So says Spur Daddy. Texter says, Hartman is winless versus Clemson in his career. The game will be decided at the running back position or more so the line of scrimmage. Can Maffa match up against Estime? I think that's how you call it, right? Estime from Notre Dame. I'm almost positive. So yeah, you're right. But Hartman's record against Clemson is irrelevant. He's not playing on the team he played against Clemson on, right? Like he's got some dudes around him now. Spur Daddy says Carolina 41, Jacksonville State 31. When I ask you guys which game is likely to produce a closer score, is that an insult to Clemson or South Carolina? What do you think? An insult to Clemson or South Carolina? The difference with Clemson's offense right now is starkest before the yawn. Very good, Michael Stathakis. Good to hear from you. Good to hear from you. Can we finally admit now that Clemson has gotten worse every single year since they made it legal for all schools to pay players? So you are saying, Texter, that now, so you surmise that Clemson was doing this behind the scenes when it was illegal to do so. And now that it's legal to do so, so what you're saying is Clemson was one of the only teams cheating. Do you honestly believe that? That Clemson was one of the only teams cheating?
There's a documentary from 30 for 30 that would prove otherwise.
Yeah. What do you think? All right, Jacksonville State, South Carolina. We'll get to that side of the coin, and we'll do so next, right here on the most interactive sports talk show anywhere. Offsides, Marc Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate.
Only on the Upstate.
It's Offsides. Marc Ryan and Diesel. We are the Fan Upstate. Rolling on until 7 o'clock p.m. today. All sorts of fired up to be here. We appreciate you guys making time for us today. Texter says, I don't think Clemson was the only school cheating. But when it came to NCAA violations, they were the two-time national champions of it. So you're saying that Clemson was the best cheating school of all. That's what he says. What do you guys say for that? Clemson fans, are you going to allow that? You know, there's all this stuff. All you guys have all of these little digs on the other side, right? Like New Spring Church and Osterreed and, you know, all of these different things. Mark, did you hear about this? Or I can't believe you haven't heard about that. There's all these under the table things that no one knows if they're true or not. You know what I mean? Like I hear Gamecock fans all the time say, New Spring Church, what do you think? You know, today I actually had a Gamecock fan. I had a Clemson fan think I'm in bed with the Gamecocks. All right. This dude on Twitter says to me, all this tough love crap from you, Marc Ryan, like Clemson is an out of control brother-in-law stealing from the family to score dope. You're a coot. Your feathers are showing. Like our philosophy is, Diesel, like if we always think we're doing something right when both sides of the rivalry think we're in bed with the other. Okay? Like if we're getting accused of being Clemson homers, we're doing something right.
We're at the point where people are so distrustful that they don't even trust that you're actually ripping Clemson.
Yeah. No, like, listen, man. Oh, it's just because you're biased. You can't even believe
it's the people who believe that Tyler from Spartanburg was a fake phone call.
Oh.
It's because they've done it before. Yeah, where's your evidence? I don't have any. Well, then shut up.
Prove to me that it's real. No, you're making the accusation.
Yeah, we had a guy on our Facebook page come after me when he put forth the assertion that fake phone calls have been played on the air on the Tiger Calls show. And I said, well, what do you mean? Do you have any evidence? Do you have anything? Can you even produce the so-called fake phone call? Well, you're the journalist. You go find it. What? No, you don't get to levy an accusation without any evidence whatsoever. You got to have something.
By the way, South Carolina is listed as an 80-20 favorite to beat Jacksonville State. And it kind of boggles your mind, right? Like we understand the difference in schedules. But you see South Carolina 2-6, you see Jacksonville State 7-2, and there's something about that to your mind that just doesn't seem right, right? I mean, it just doesn't seem right. But be that as it may, you know, this is one of those that you got a little smirk on your face watching because you realize that, you know, when you scheduled this is not the Jacksonville State that you thought was coming to town. This is a Jacksonville State team that has lost only, Diesel, to Coastal Carolina. You and I both have Coastal Carolina ahead of South Carolina in our North and South Carolina rankings.
Yeah, you can say that if you base it specifically on resume, but now with Grayson McCall out for the rest of the season, that certainly changes some things.
Then the only other loss they have is to Liberty. And all Liberty's done is give Liberty to the entire school. They're undefeated, right? So those are Jacksonville State's losses. They have beaten Conference USA opposition roughly by like 7 to 10 points, you know, on average. So this is a game that South Carolina should win. The problem is that there's every chance that South Carolina's Princeton and Mercer and Yale offensive linemen aren't going to look like they're that much better than Jacksonville State's offensive line, than Jacksonville State's defensive line. You know, I don't know how Jacksonville State accounts for Spencer Rattler. I don't. But you've got the second place team in Conference USA. Liberty is first. Jacksonville State is second. New Mexico State is third. The second place team in Conference USA. You know, this could be like a potential bowl preview, right? Like Jacksonville State would love to play a team like South Carolina in a bowl game. And what's interesting to me about the Gamecocks is not a single one of these games that remains for them. They get to end the season on a 4-game homestand, South Carolina does. Not a single one of these games is unwinnable. You know, these are 4 winnable games for South Carolina. You notice I'm not saying Gamecocks because they're playing the Gamecocks this weekend. But each and every one of these games is winnable, you know, and that's pretty cool. You know, 80% chance to beat Jacksonville State, 84.8% chance to beat Vanderbilt. So Jacksonville State is considered better than Vanderbilt. ESPN's FPI says 55.5% chance to beat Kentucky. And ESPN's FPI says a 33% chance to beat Clemson.
This is going to be, you know, one of those classic matchups of a better team versus better talent.
Oh, yeah.
Because Jacksonville State is a better team.
Oh, yeah.
Looking at it in a bubble of just looking at Jacksonville State, they are a better team. South Carolina has better talent.
Texter says, if Clemson was cheating before NIL, wouldn't they be good at paying players now? Good point. Very, very good point. Where did all that money go? How come they're not getting anybody in the portal if they paid for players all this time? Let's see. David and Greer says, hey, Mark, I need your weekly thoughts on the upcoming Baltimore Ravens game. We'll try to work that in, David. South Carolina is all the way in for a hard one, no matter what this weekend. The Gamecocks have been.
That's what she said.
Beating them. He's doing. That's what he's doing, Diesel. Here he goes. He's trying to get us in trouble. Here we go. Let me see if I can. South Carolina is all the way in for a hard one, no matter what this weekend. The Gamecocks have been beating themselves almost every weekend as if it felt good. Thought we might be becoming blue bloods, but it turned out to be a stiff case of blue balls. Yeah, Michael, I've missed you. I've really missed you, sir. I've really missed these contributions to our show. How are you doing?
I thought you were going to say, Michael, they've been beating off the competition, except when they aren't, they're getting beaten up by it.
That's another way to say it. Yeah, guys, what game is closer? Is it Clemson, Notre Dame, or is it Jacksonville State, South Carolina? Which game tomorrow produces a closer scoreline?
We have a poll for that up on the Fan Upstate on Twitter. As of right now, 64% of the votes say that Jacksonville State, South Carolina will be a closer game.
Let's see. We will see what we've got to say. All right, my friends. Up next, we've got the top 5 at 5, the top 5 biggest sports stories of the day, the top 5 topics we're discussing coming your way on the flip side. Here on the show that gives you both sides. Right here on Offsides, we are the Fan Upstate.
Coming up after the top 5 at 5, your chance to win 2 tickets to the Ingalls Asheville Classic, a 14 basketball tournament featuring Clemson, UAB, Maryland, and Davidson. Games going to be Friday, November 10th and Sunday, November 12th. You will win 2 tickets to both the semifinal games, the third place game, and the championship game. Your chance to win coming up at the end of the top 5 at 5.
That's right, my friends. Be ready to call in. You'll be able to grab some tickets, and they're yours. Go to all the games. Go to some of the games, whatever you'd like. Great deal, man. Great deal, and we're thrilled to be a part of it. We are jam-packed. You guys can, of course, get in the final 2 hours of the show. We've got our picks coming up for the week in Wise Guys Wisdom at 5:40 in this hour. Here's how you guys can take part in the show. You can give us a call at 844-FAN phone. That's 844-326-3663. And the carpro.com text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan, and away you go on the show. It is time for us to do that jam. We call it the top 5 at 5. The top 5 biggest sports stories of the day. The top 5 topics we're discussing. Ladies and gentlemen of the Upstate, Offsiders. The top 5 at 5 starts right now.
And now, the top 5 at 5.
And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hit it.
5.
At number 5 today, Clemson against Notre Dame. I get the sense that Clemson fans are bracing for the worst here. Absolutely bracing for the worst. Look, the odds makers are telling you you're in this game. You've got a chance in this game. So why is it that nobody believes it? What game is going to produce a closer result? Jacksonville State, South Carolina, or Clemson, Notre Dame? My score, ladies and gentlemen, Notre Dame 31, Clemson 13. And in a landscape where media members always want to be right, I want to be wrong. I hope this inspires Clemson, this prediction. I hope they throw me in front of freezing cold takes. And I hope I have to eat this one, because it'll mean that if I'm right, Clemson found something. Okay? A team as efficient as Notre Dame is, a team as strong on both lines as Notre Dame is, a team that knows who they are and knows how to play and knows how to not shoot themselves in the foot. I don't see Clemson beating that team. Sorry. I just don't see them beating that team right now. I think this is one where Clemson's still kind of hanging on at halftime and Notre Dame kind of pulls away late, right? This could be like a 13-6 Notre Dame halftime score, and then they just kind of pull away late. We will soon see. My score's 31-13 Notre Dame. What, pray tell, is yours? Next up.
4.
At number 4, the high school football playoffs are here. That's right. Finally, we get games that matter. And I know some of you guys are saying, well, Marc Ryan, what do you mean we get games that matter? They all matter. Not really. These non-region games don't matter a lick. And then just about every team from the region makes the playoff anyway because the playoff's too big.
When Cole talks about Dorman being that team is, well, they're just not that good. They're going up against Burns in the playoffs. I'm like, wait a minute, playoffs? All these teams are supposed to be good. Why are we talking about bad teams making the playoffs?
Exactly. No, that's exactly right, because we live, Diesel, in a you get a trophy area and everyone gets a trophy and you got to let all the kids play in the playoffs. And wouldn't it be a crime if every kid? No, it'd be good for them. You got to be good to get in. Burns already played Dorman. The hell do they have to play him again? It's ridiculous. We don't have enough teams for them not to have to play the same team twice. They should cut the playoff teams in half easily. But they won't, because it's about money. Just like everything is about money. Guys, I think this is going to be great. You've got TL Hanna against Fort Mill, Dutch Fork against Boiling Springs. Cole sees a close one there. He says 28-21, Dutch Fork. Clover against Woodmock. You got Lexington at Gaffney. He's got Gaffney beating Lexington by 10. He's got Spartanburg winning a close one over Rock Hill. And Dorman is the only Region 2A. I'm sorry. He's the only class. How do you say this, Diesel? Region 2A in Class 5, right? Class 5.
Class 5, Region 2A.
Class 5, Region 2A. There you go. Only team in Class 5, Region 2A that he has losing, and it's because they're playing Burns. So here we go. Here we go, my friends. It's going to be a fun ride. Next up.
3.
All right, at number 3. This is interesting. MSNBC takes a shot at Tommy Tuberville. Liberal network takes a shot at conservative senator.
Yep.
But that's not what we're most interested about.
Yeah, this happened on the show Morning Joe with Joe Scarborough. And I don't know the full context of the story that they're talking about, but they're basically questioning Tommy Tuberville's knowledge base to be able to weigh in on a certain topic. Here was the audio from that show.
Yeah, Ryan, we were fighting across Afghanistan and in Iraq, Tommy Tuberville, while you were sitting there playing Appalachian State. So if you have the military supporting Democrats That's about as strong as an endorsement. So you. By the way, I don't suspect Appalachian State at all. I think some of the best people I know, Appalachian State, they beat North Carolina, they beat Michigan. I love Appalachian State. Some of the best people I know from Appalachian State. I'm just saying. Good program. From Auburn, you know, it's a different level and blah blah blah. It's not Fallujah. Go ahead.
Do you subscribe to the idea that any mention in the media is a good mention in the media?
Yes, I do.
What about when it's slightly disrespectful? Now that one was fine because he said no disrespect. They've won big games. I know a lot of great people there, whatever he's saying. But this came from the movie The Longest Yard in 2005 with Adam Sandler. Would you call this good pub?
Yeah, in college we start every season against Appalachian State or some slack Division II team. Kick the living shit out of them. Get their confidence up.
Is that from Big Daddy?
No, it's from Longest Yard.
Oh,
where he's a prisoner,
right.
and the warden is trying to ask him, hey, how do I get my team ready to go play football this year?
Yeah.
And he said, well, when we were at Florida State, we would start the season off against Appalachian State or some slack Division II school, beat the living crap out of them, get everybody's confidence up.
Well, Diesel, I'll tell you this. I am a firm believer that there's no such thing as bad publicity.
That's being immortalized in an Adam Sandler movie.
Yeah.
And the school offered I remember the school offering Adam Sandler, you know, the full run of come see it all. We'll set you up in a luxury box. He didn't show, but still App State is immortalized in that movie.
Yeah, that's right, guys.
And we were pissed about it at the time.
No.
Because in 2005, Apple's coming off of its run of really good play in national championships.
Here's the reality, guys, and it's not the way society behaves, okay? But Uncle Mark is going to shoot straight with you here. There is actually no such thing as bad publicity. If you have a company here in the Upstate, and I say something bad about your company on the air, that's good publicity. Now, you might not like that, but it's going to be good for your business, okay? You say something bad about me, or I say something bad about your team. There's no such thing as bad publicity. There really isn't. You know, when Shane Beamer came at us, that was great for the station.
We are in the attention business. We are not in the let's be right business. We are in the attention business. That's what all media is. All media is struggling to get people's attention.
You know what? 100%. 100%, man. And that's what we're about. So when we realize that you just got a promotion for your company, whether it was positive or negative, or you just got a promotion to your team, whether it's positive or negative, realize, guys, that Beamer going nuts at me was great for us.
It's like when people try to insult our show and say, oh, you guys are just out for clicks. Yeah, we are. Yep. We're always out for clicks. That's what we're doing here.
All right, next up. At number 2, South Carolina against Jacksonville State. A little smirk comes across my face because Jacksonville State is not the team that you want to have on your schedule when you're trying to find yourself. They're 7-2. South Carolina is 2-6. And you might say, well, the Gamecocks have SEC talent. Jacksonville State does not. Well, do they? Have you seen who's playing on South Carolina's offensive line? Have you considered that South Carolina has 6 scholarship offensive linemen that are out? 6 that are out. I mean, consider that for a moment. Maybe, just maybe, might Jacksonville State be able to pull a stunner over the Gamecocks on the weekend? Let's establish what's on the line here, okay? Let's do that. What's on the line is the right to be the real Gamecocks. You lose the name Gamecocks. You're the fraudulent Gamecocks to whomever loses this game, all right? It's simple. You settle all these turf wars on the field, right? I had Gamecock fans telling me, Diesel, that because South Carolina won the last game against USC, that they're still the real USC. And I'm like, yeah, dude, that was 1983. Come on, man, 40 years ago. Really? You're going back that far? I hope you didn't pull a muscle with that stretch. Look, I believe North Carolina is the real Carolina. They beat you. I believe Missouri's the real Columbia. They beat you. The Gamecocks is the last thing you have left. Do not lose this one, South Carolina. Do not let this one slip away. And finally,
one.
At number one on the show today. Folks, an inconvenient truth is that we are actually number two. And in my opinion, we're now number two in two of our three most popular sports. Three most popular sports in America. What are they? Football, basketball, baseball, right? Well, are we the best baseball playing nation? No, we're not. We always lose in the World Baseball Classic. We call our championship the World Series, but we play no one from the rest of the world. Why? Because we'd probably lose. How about the NBA? Certainly we're the best there. Have you seen the Dream Team in the Olympics? Yeah, that was 31 years ago. Have you seen any list of top 5 players in the NBA today? The top 4 are not from here. The top 4 are not from here. Number 1 player in the NBA, Giannis Antetokounmpo from Greece. Number 2 player in the NBA, Nikola Jokic from Serbia. Number 3 player in the NBA, Joel Embiid from Cameroon and France. Number 4 player in the NBA, Luka Doncic from Slovenia. You tell me. 4 best players in the NBA, Victor Wembanyama might be number 5. None of them are from here. I was looking at this. I put together teams of the best international players versus the best American players. You tell me who'd win. Here's what I got. International team. Luka Doncic, Kristaps Porzingis, Victor Wembanyama, Lauri Markkanen, Pascal Siakam, Giannis, Domantas Sabonis, Nikola Jokic. Against Anthony Davis, LeBron James, Kevin Durant. Those 2 guys are old. Jason Tatum, Steph Curry. Steph Curry's old. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Devin Booker, Jimmy Butler, and Anthony Edwards. Who wins? The very best players in the world, folks, are not Americans. We now have to grasp the reality that we are no longer the best athlete-producing country on earth. And have you seen what Victor Wembanyama's doing? 38 points last night as a 19-year-old, 7'4". He's got Kevin Durant's game, but thankfully not Kevin Durant's frame. Kevin Durant is a toothpick that's 6'11". Victor Wembanyama is 7'4" and has got a little bit more beef on him with extra time to fill out. I think, folks, you're looking at an all-time great with Victor Wembanyama, and I actually think I'm being conservative with that projection. What say you guys about that? And those are today's top 5 at 5. Now it's your chance to chime in, which you can do at 844-FAN-PHONE. That's 844-FANFONE. That's 844-326-3663. TheCarPro.com text line is there for you at 71307. Just start your text with the word fan and away you go. You can get to us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on YouTube at The Fan Upstate on each one. Please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe to us on YouTube. And finally, email. You guys can all email the show. Marc Ryan, that is M-A-R-C Ryan, at thefanupstate.com. All the different ways you can get in touch with us here on the most interactive sports radio show anywhere. And my friends, it is time for a little something, something.
Right now, you could win 2 tickets to the Ingles Asheville Classic Tournament, Clemson, UAB, Maryland, and Davidson, taking place Friday, November 10th and Sunday, November 12th in Asheville. You can win 2 tickets to both the semifinal games on Friday and the third place and championship games happening on Sunday. If you are caller number 4 at 844-326-3663, that's 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663.
That is the number for you, my friends. The number for you to win some outstanding tickets. Texter says, Mark, oh, that's right, Texter. You called me on it. Thank you so much. You said Mark Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is Canadian, so I got to take him off the list. Got to take him off the list. You're exactly right. Texter says the world team would destroy the United States team. I totally agree. Texter says, so it's the whole world against the USA? The 5 best USA would beat any country's top 5. Well, Texter, that's what you're saying, right? But that's not what's happening. We just played the FIBA World Cup and we lost. We've lost in the Olympics. Like we are losing. Do you understand this? And I'm going to tell you this. If Victor Wembanyama was American, he wouldn't be as good as he is. He's like 7'4" and incredibly fundamentally sound, right? Incredibly fundamental. Like these guys over there, they have the handles. It's like the when they dribble the ball, it's like the ball's on a string. It goes right back to them. Victor Wembanyama the other day was dribbling. Now, it's hard to create this mental picture, right? Because, this is an audio medium, but I'm showing it to the crowd on YouTube right now as well. Victor Wembanyama the other day was dribbling 2 basketballs between his legs at the same time and then catching them with his hands on the other side. So he'd go left to right and right to left at the same time. Neither basketball would hit one another. They'd make it to the other side of his leg and he'd catch the ball, and he kept doing it. And I'm like, I've never seen that in my life. It's hard enough for me to dribble one ball between my legs, not a ball in my left hand, a ball in my right hand. I've got to dribble both through my legs at the same time, catch it on the other side. I've never seen that before, brother. I have never seen that before in my life. All right, my friends, what do you think? Have we lost the right to say we're the best athlete producing country in the world? We got so much more coming your way. It's Offsides, Marc Ryan and Diesel, and we are the Fan Upstate.
Okay, and your phone number. I wrote it down on the other side of the page here. 864 497 3839. Mark, do you want to say goodbye to the stream?
Hey, guys. You guys are the best. Thank you, Mongo, Madcraft, Spur Daddy, Dan B, Buck Thomas. Hey, Buck Thomas says we're the best practice team in the country. Thank you guys so much for coming in today. We love you for it. And hope you guys have a great weekend, man. We really, really do. What's going to be a closer game? Clemson, Notre Dame, or Jacksonville State and South Carolina? It's a fun question, right? Y'all be well. Have a great weekend. And invite you to check out the CBS show tomorrow and Diesel's Carolina Panthers kickoff show. I'll be on CBS Sports Radio tomorrow, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Have a great weekend.